Yo, what's up, yo? It's your boy Sean, aka Learn from L's, back with another video. So in this video, just to let you know, if you see this little notepad here, I just want to try something a little different, just to keep my thoughts more organized, maybe make the videos more condensed. I still obviously want to keep it a free flow because I think it's nice to, obviously hit those pockets, but just in case maybe, I go off topic or, anything of that nature, I can really kind of just bring it back and know what my talking points are beforehand. So yeah, listen, the topic of this video: when it rains, it pours, baby. When it rains, it pours, right? There's a song by 50 you probably heard of if you're into rap at all. But yeah, right? Like sometimes, man, sometimes life comes at you quick, right? In many ways, many different dimensions, many fucking ways. And when it rains, it pours. Sometimes it feels like all the walls are closing in. It feels like your world is falling apart. That's where, your strength and your resilience really gets tested. That's where, trying to really stay optimistic in spite of everything, gets tested. That's where your faith gets tested, right? Because now it feels like the world is turning on you, right? And it's like, can you remain faithful in those moments, in something that maybe, in the present moment doesn't seem like it's going to be a good positive outcome for you, right? So first thing for that, if you're going through something like this, when it's raining and pouring out here, first thing to keep in mind, I know it sounds a little cliche, it's been said too, but it's true. This too shall pass, right? This too shall pass. No storm lasts forever, right? Hurricanes, thunderstorms, tornadoes, whatever the natural event that you want to compare it to, it does not last forever. It comes for a while, it goes, it dissipates. And there's a tranquility almost, after the storm, and in spite of all the destruction and everything, there's a peace, there's a quiet, after that storm, there's a rejuvenation in a sense that comes post-storm, and you walk out of the storm a different person. That's the beauty of it, right? If you're doing it right. So try to figure out if you can why it's happening to you. Always try to be accountable as much as you can. If things are going to shit, always at least be reflective. What can you do better? Is this here just to increase your strength and wisdom? Is this here because you made a mistake and this is the repercussions of it? Is it your karma? Whatever the case may be, at least be aware of it. But sometimes, listen, man, sometimes shit does not go your way, and there's nothing you can do about it. It had nothing to do with your past actions. It's just, hey, man, life is ups and downs, right? There's that showing where they show the heart rate and it's up and down. And if it was just flatline, well, you're dead, right? So I presume that's where a lot of the mystics would say, realizing detachment in a way is essential, because there are going to be ups and there are going to be downs. So enjoy the ups, enjoy the downs. You need both, right? There's that saying too, like a tree can only grow as high as its roots go down to the earth, right? So a lot of the trials, tribulations, a lot of the difficulties you're going through are really your roots really sinking down, grounding you, and allowing you to reach higher heights, and ultimately evolve and grow in consciousness and figure this thing out, right? Because again, I personally like to see life as a university. The reason we're here is to learn something, whether it's, to get lost in the world a little bit and realize that it's not the end all be all, to come closer to God, to learn about ourselves, realize our true selves, our true nature. But yeah, no mud, no lotus, right? A lotus flower is a beautiful flower. It's a symbol of purity. In a lot of spiritual traditions in the Eastern Hemisphere, a lotus flower represents, enlightenment or rebirth or purity, as they say, because it grows in mud, right? So it comes from what most of us would consider a disgusting and, a habitat we wouldn't want to come from. But yet there's something so beautiful and so pure that that is the requirement for it to exist. So if we were to compare ourselves to a lotus flower, it's like, in a way, we need to be thankful for the difficulties that we're going through, right? Because a lot of times it's the fertile ground necessary for us to bloom, right? To become a lotus. And yeah, like it is a symbol of strength, resilience, and rebirth for those exact reasons. Because in a difficult, unwanted environment, something so beautiful comes into existence. Another example, obviously, is probably a more common one, and I always think of Derrick Rose, right? The rose that grew out of the concrete, right? That's a more city use of that analogy or that of painting that picture, I guess you could say. But yeah, the roses that grew out of the concrete. So, you know, an environment where something so beautiful or natural wasn't intended to happen, it still found a way, right? So I guess that's kind of the resilience of life, and that's, you know, that's what it's there for, right? And there's that saying I always like to use. I don't have the full quote down, but it goes something like this, basically, right? I asked God for strength, He gave me trials. You know, I don't have the full saying, but just the crux, just that one line, you know, should put things into perspective. It's not like, you know, you're gonna pray to God and, you know, all of a sudden your life is gonna be easy and it's gonna be, you know, like what's the point of that, right? Like there's that saying by Bruce Lee too. Shout out to Bruce Lee. You know, don't pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. You know, so I think that's kind of the mentality shift that a lot of us need to have, because listen, at the end of the day, if Buddha himself was over here talking about life is suffering, hey man, it's gonna be a tough ride, but you know, he's a symbol of being able to transcend that, to rise above that, and he had to go through some difficult times as well in order to get to that. So always keep that in mind. Another thing too, I'm talking very broad because listen, I just got out of my storm, right? I just had a storm come through, and I'm still dealing with the repercussions and the aftermath. But overall, I'm blessed. But another important thing, I'm going to talk in general terms because I feel like there's always like overarching principles, right? Like the problem, the specific problem itself is irrelevant most of the time. It's what is that causing you to reflect? How is that affecting you? How are you responding to it, right? Regardless of what the situation is, right? So another important thing is slay your dragon, right? Look the devil in the eye, stare into the abyss, you know, confront that which you are afraid of, you know, when you need to. You know, if someone wronged you, if someone did you wrong and you feel you need to confront them, take your time, you know, get your emotions together, compose yourself. But if you really feel like you need to do this or set boundaries and let them know, don't be afraid to do that. Because, you know, what I realized, I was trying to put something off where I knew I had to have a discussion with someone, but it was affecting me subconsciously. I felt like I wasn't really thinking about it, but without realizing consciously, like I was saying, subconsciously, it was like, it was still running. It's like, until I went and spoke to that person, at least let my presence be known and let them know that they crossed a boundary that I wasn't okay with, you know, it was affecting me. I was negative, I was really down. It was affecting my relationships with the people that I love too. And just, like I said, staring into the abyss, looking the devil in the eye or slaying your dragon, I felt like an immense relief. So always have courage when you need to. Confront your demons, confront those that you need to, do what you gotta do, right? And you know, this might be a little bit off topic, but I think it's relevant too, especially if you're going off script, is do not follow the script that they put out for you, right? This is your life ultimately, okay? This is your life, man. If something is calling to you and, you know, you're not sure about it, it's not a well-traversed path, it's a blessing in disguise, right? Because you get to go into uncharted territories. Yes, it might be more difficult. Yes, there might not be a guidebook per se, but the experience, the wisdom that you're gonna gain from going down that path is immeasurable, right? And ultimately, like, you know, what I feel what I'm always trying to attune to the highest degree is my own internal compass. So, you know, like I said before, I've said this in videos before, I believe, but at the end of the day, it's like, I'd rather be wrong following my internal compass and knowing that it was all on me. That way I can, you know, better navigate to the point where I am, you know, attuned to true north. You know, I do have my North Star and I do know where I'm headed. Even if at first, you know, I'm a little bit shaky, I'm a little bit off the mark, but you know, at least I'm getting attuned to my inner self, to my true self, right? And there's that saying too, you know, if a ship or a captain knows not where he's going, no wind is favorable, right? So you have to have some sort of a concept, some sort of an idea, whether it's just you being as authentic as possible, even if that means taking bigger risks, even if that means upsetting people, even if that means going off the script. You know, I like, listen, if what you really want to do happens to be like a traditional thing and it is following the script, bless up, like do it up. But I'm just saying, you know, for those who are artists, who are poets, who are, you know, or spiritual, who are in a dimension that maybe isn't as easily accessible, especially nowadays in our societies, you know, don't be afraid. Like, have the courage to do what's calling you, right? There's a reason it's being called to you. We're all one of ones. We're all unique, you know. No two people should have the same calling, ultimately, in a sense. And if they do, it's like it might be in the same domain, but it would be different for different reasons, right? You know, like I'll use basketball as an example. Like there's Mike, he left his legacy. Then the closest thing to it, the student of him will say Kobe, but he had his own legacy, even though he was the closest one to it. And you could say there are a lot of similarities and everything. There's still two completely separate people, two completely different stories. LeBron, Kareem, like, you know what I'm saying? Like these guys, they all had the domain was basketball, but they were all still incredibly unique and had their own stories, their own paths to follow. And last but not least, man, embrace uncertainty, right? You know, we like to have the idea that, you know, we know what's coming, we know what the future holds, and you could plan accordingly. I'm not saying don't plan. You know, plan ahead, do what you got to do, but ultimately you got to embrace uncertainty because there is no guarantee in life, right? The only two things guaranteed: you were born, you're gonna die, and that's it. You come into this world empty-handed, you're gonna leave empty-handed, and ultimately we do live in uncertainty. But a lot of times we can't confront that. We can't, you know, accept the fact, or we don't even want to look at the fact that, you know, death is a thing. We're gonna have to face it one day, whether we like it or not. So prepare for it as soon as possible. I'm not saying that in a morbid sense. I'm not saying that like you know, just be depressed that you're gonna die. It's like, no, in a way it's a blessing. You know, there would be no life without death. You need the contrast. And there might be something extremely valuable in learning to die as well, right? Learning to lose, learning to take L's, right? They seem inherently negative. They're the black sheeps of the family. They're scapegoated, but there is something valuable in that. So don't forget that. So bottom line, man, if you're going through it, weather the storm. This too shall pass. No mud, no lotus, right? Embrace uncertainty, slay your dragon, and don't follow the script they set out for you, right? Follow your heart, follow your true self, learn from L's, bro. Bless up. Thank you for tuning in. Much love to y'all. And, you know, comment, like, let me know what's on your mind if y'all mess with this video. And, you know, stay in the game, bro. As long as you in this game, you game, you know. You got time. You gonna figure it out. We gonna bless up together. And yeah, much love. Appreciate y'all tuning in, man.